Hi, my channel mammals. Here we are again. This is part 2 of the baking of these molded cookies. I put it all into the bin at once, and you can't separate it again. And I thought, oh no, I can't waste these ingredients. So I just turned on the mixer, and it just ground it all up, mixed it all till it was a perfect cookie dough. And I thought, well, I'm just going to see what happens. It may work, or it may not. I don't know. But there's nothing, I don't want to waste this, so we'll try it. And they came out perfectly. They were perfect. So, you know, all this long instruction telling you cream this and then cream that with it and then add this and only till it's mixed and none of it matters. So I'm just going to throw it all in there again. This is the third time I've done that. So I did do it already twice to make sure I wasn't delusional. And now we're doing it again and with you, because I want you to see that's all you need to do. Isn't that fun? Okay, let's go do it. So we'll do that. There's that. And you know, I'm so Scottish. I scrape the last little drips out. That's quite a bit of egg coming out there, eh? Okay, so now I can take my egg display away. Now this is Yankee room temperature butter, so it's hard as a rock. But that's my room temperature. Used a lemon. I grated what I could off of it. I have a terrible lemon grater. It doesn't have a sharp edge on it, so it's very hard to grate anything like that. So I'm putting it in here. This is the vanilla. This is 1.5 teaspoons. I'll give you the recipe, but you don't have to do it in any kind of order. I hate to waste any vanilla. It's so precious. Okay, and then there's salt. And sugar. Again, I'm not doing this the way they tell you to do it, which is really fun. I love the rebel aspect of it. Also, I ran out of regular American granulated sugar. So I used the sugar that we bought 38 years ago, or 40 years ago. 40 years ago in Indonesia, on the island of Jawa. And look at it, it's big, huge crystals. Can you see how big they are? Big chunks. It comes, see that dark purplish colored, looks like a scary monster up there. Look around the corner of it. It has a red, if you go around the corner, my channel members, you'll see it has a red stamp. You see the stamp? It's a wax seal. That's how they make their sugar there, or did. It may have changed by now, but it was molded into a cone, and they'd scrape it off with a knife. So, there we go. Now here's the sugar. So this is a mixture of that sugar and regular granulated sugar. And here's the flour. 2.5 cups of flour and 1 cup of sugar, or something like that. I do it all by weights, though. I prefer to do it by weight because it's just too hard to be sure. That's the only thing I do that's especially... Oh, I have to show you this. Look at this tray. Richard and I made this tray. And this is a prototype. It was never made in production. And look, I'm going to take it out here in the light. Let's see, I'll take it right out here. Isn't it beautiful? Right, first I'm going to move this over because it's it has feet. These are some kind of industrial feet. I don't know what they're for. They're a nozzle. They're a nozzle for some kind of hose. And we made this, and you'll never guess where we found the base of this, the flowers. We were in a market, an outdoor market, in the center of the capital of Lithuania. What was the name of that? I forgot the name of the capital. It starts with a V, I think. Ooh, I'm sure. Oh, shucks. I'll think of it later. And, you know, in the capital of Lithuania, chickens walk around. This is the capital city. It's not really like our cities. And they sell things like tumbleweed, something that looks like, grows like a tumbleweed. They sell all these strange things. And they're always, it's kind of like in Russia, where ladies stand with a little tiny bouquet of like 5 little flowers that grow, the last little flowers of the summer, which lasts a month and a half at the most. And they're all bundled up. And the hardware store is part of the market. It's all outdoors. And I have a photo of it, I think. I hope I still kept it. It's a little stand that was out in all lumpy. The ground is all dirt. And so it's lumpy because of where it gets worn, for certain things. And so there's this little stand with like ladders, and it had different wallpapers. And I saw this wallpaper, and I said, Richard, look, isn't this beautiful? Can you see how it has this little sheen? It's kind of fancy. It's trying to be very fancy wallpaper. Isn't that great? And then we did our little stripes in here. And this is a piece of rattan that we formed to go around inside. And we carved this as the outer frame of it. Before I get this out, I want to get the silicone mat on the cookie tray, because every time I cut one out, I put it in the freezer on the silicone mat. So, this is a napkin ring, an old napkin ring. So this is a good way to stow your silicone mats. They look so awful, don't they? Oh, no time at all, and they're just look terrible, but they still function, so just keep them. I haven't even had them that many years. So I'll put this in the freezer. I've used this so much that I had to patch it. It wore a hole in the middle, but it's fine. Okay, so now see, this is really nice cookie dough. And when you eat, this is really important. With my first batch of making these, they tasted so boring. There was nothing going on. They weren't sweet. They were just like eating dog biscuits. And so then, when I had this problem with being too tired and putting everything in at the same time, I realized after it was mixed that you could still feel the granulars, which you shouldn't normally, the way they say to do it. But the granules of sugar, of course, because they were huge with that Indonesian sugar. And so, anyway, I found that when you eat the cookie now, you can taste the sugar all the way through it, because the granules don't just become buried in the flour and the dough. For some reason, they leave that little crunchy taste in there, which I love. Isn't that fun? So it's like eating I can't explain it, a candy shop. It's really fun. And so anyway, everything good happened when I broke the rule. there we go. And just, you know, put it together here. You just want to flatten it out, actually quite a lot, because it gets quite hard, you know, when it's in the ice box. Not the freezer, the ice box. The, what do you call it? The refrigerator, something like that. So so I try to get it practically to the right size. But see, it doesn't make very much dough, but the dough does seem to, it goes pretty far. It's just, it's not a lot. It's not like what I remember, chocolate chip cookies. They seem to be more dough, you know, than this. So I'll put this in the ice box and it'll chill. See, you can see the granulars. See the granulars of sugar? Can you see that in there? Yeah. Okay, so I'll just put this up in the ice box, lay it in there. So it can just, and then we'll visit it in about 3 hours, okay? Okay, we're ready to finally start to make the actual cookie shapes, which is the part that I mostly wanted to show you because everybody knows how to throw things into a mixer. And so here we go. So this is confectioner's sugar, and I do use it because it gives the cookie a little bit more flavor, I find. So, by the way, I found more in the oven. I must be getting sleepy. I found more in the mixer than what I pulled out before, so it was a pretty hefty amount. Oh, by the way, I use this. I don't know, I'm talking and trying to tell you things at the same time as I'm talking to myself. Okay, so I'm going to roll this thinner first. And what we'll do is we'll make the big cookie first, because that one is the one that I think needs the most lesson. And it's very easy for me now that I'm used to it. It took me a while to figure it out for myself, so I wanted to share it and save you from some of your own research. I'm just gonna there. Then what I do is I put this down and I kind of roughly cut around it so that you don't have all this extra stuff, dough to work with. More comes off than this, but just for now, get it out of here. And I roll it together here just to keep it tidy and ready for the next shapes that I need to cut. But more will be coming back to it. You'll see as we go. So this is really easy. Just put this roughly on here and you kind of know where the divots are, where your fingers are going to go. And then see these little spikes that go in? I use those as a guide too for exactly the shape. Okay, so first thing is to push it in. we'll be cutting off even more of this dough as we go. I'm pushing from the center out. Now, when I do it myself, alone, I don't even say that to myself. I just kind of do it. And so I'm trying to speak out loud so that I can tell you what my fingers are thinking. Okay, so now we just start taking this off of here. See, this is right where the design starts, you see, in there. And I'm pushing it down lower than the height of the mold because it's too thick for a cookie. They just make it very thick. So there's that little part that goes down in. Taking that one out, that part out next. And then I really want to get even more out to make it as thin a cookie as I can. So usually I don't put anything in the mold. I might today, because just to see. But this is the back side of the cookie. So that's the part that goes into the mold. I'm just doing this to kind of refresh the mold. But normally I don't put anything in the mold either. Only on the dough itself. And I usually have a little bowl handy to I'll put all my cookie parts there so I don't contaminate the whole thing of sugar. Just spank it a little. Now this is the back side of the dough, so then I push it down according to the shape that I know this is. Firmly. And then where there are these little indents here, I make sure that I'm cognizant of those. There. And now I just make sure it's really nice and neat around here. Okay, so now the edges are all just perfectly outlined, and then I'm just taking out a little more in the middle because I'm telling you these cookies are so big. I would never normally want to mold this big, but this is what we have, and it's so pretty. So I'm just trying to enjoy it, but it's a lot to eat. So I just skim it down as much as I can without being dangerous, because I'm never sure I could possibly. I'm just any extra dough I can get. You don't have to do this, you know. It depends on. You might not ever get a mold this big. Just be careful. If you do get some molds, not to get them too big, because you don't want to. I don't think you want to have such big cookies. There. Okay, so now that little bit of residue, wait, put that back with the rest, and I'll just run over this. It probably won't take much because it's down in there now. That's good. Now, watch. It's pretty easy. Just bend the mold back. Try not to touch the center of the mold, because you don't want to press it in whilst you're pressing it out. Right? So I'm just loosening it all the way around the edges here. And then you basically kind of peel it out. I'm doing this the opposite because I'm left-handed, so I'm sorry. You might want to come over around here. There. That better? See, just let it drop out. Look at that. See how easy that is, actually? It's very easy. And this is the hardest one. Okay, I'm going to put it in the freezer. And so that when it's time to go into the oven, it's frozen. Along with my other little guys here. Okay, so I'll show you how to do this cookie, the round one that I had, and then how to do one with this, in case you should ever get a similar mold or something. And then we'll do some of these. These will be fun because I haven't used these yet. So I'm going to be learning at the same time, which will be, but they'll be easy. They're very easy. All of them will be easy. Okay, I've unwrapped it just to loosen it up a little, because this can be a lot thinner. In fact, what I think I should do is just take a portion of it right now, so that this part can stay cold in the ice box. For the smaller cookies, you can start out thinner to begin with. That should be good enough. Okay, then what I do is I take this is even a little bit bigger than we need it for these cookies. Just smoothing out a little bit. Okay. I use this as my guide for this particular cookie. I'm pressing it from behind to release it. It still seems a bit thick. That's a bit thick. But it'll thin out because when I press it, it also gets thinner. I'll just do one more. Then we'll switch to another cutter. Oops. I forgot I was not doing it on the plastic. Okay, there. Now, I have been doing this. I've been, whoops. And put a little on the tops here. Then put the most powdery part down and just use your fingers to press it around. and then peel it off. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Then, if you're doing, you keep it the round way, you just put this on here again. Sometimes I just take the rolling pin and it just falls right off. So there's a cookie. I'll do one more. There you go. So pretty, isn't it? And then the last one we'll make into a little, one of the little guys. You hear that crunchy sound? That's the sugar. That's not mixed the way it's supposed to be, but I think it's great. Okay, here we go, one more. Okay, now for this one, you don't need to do the frame around the outside. You just want to get them capturing those little peaks inside there. And just roll this on. And there you go. Isn't that cute? So now we have shown you how to do this type of situation. And we'll go to the next. Now we're going to try, I'll show you this one. I'm just going to smear this down here and go right for it. And then once you press that, you have to press it further because to be sure you get the whole cookie, the whole shape here, you see? And then press it out like this. Voila. I'll do one more here of this one, and then we'll do another one. That one's a little thicker than I like to see. So, I wonder what happens if you try it. I have an idea. I'm just going to try something. Putting it back in and squeezing it in here. I should have made this thinner. Basically, I'm making another way more to cut off. You see, just a little bit more to cut off. Okay, so now I'm learning as I go here. There. It's a little thinner than it was. Very pretty, isn't it? looks pretty good. That'll all melt. That's the sugar. So, except you can't really see it very well because it's so. Maybe I have. You can do it with a little less. Yeah, you can see it a little bit better. But I don't think, I mean, once I take, you don't need to take the sugar out. I'm just trying to show you what it looks like. But it's pretty. Don't you think? That would be nice as a contrast to this one. They look pretty together. Okay, so that's good to know. I'll do one more. And then we'll move on to a different experiment. I'm having fun doing this with you. I hope it's not too irritating with your teacher not knowing what they're doing. But, let's see here. There we go. That is so pretty, isn't it? There we go. Now again, here's what it, wait, where's that one I had? Oh, they're all great. There you go. That'll look more flowery even in the end. Okay, so now these can go into the, they better go in the freezer right now. So we have time for them to freeze. And then we're going to do a couple more experiments. And then we can put them in the oven for 12 or 15 minutes. 12, more like 10 minutes, especially with the small ones. And they can go very close together. They don't, I'm not putting them in their final state. I'm just sticking them here. But they don't spread. So you can put quite a few cookies on a cookie tray. Those will freeze really quickly. Okay. Now. Okay, so I cut out this shape just so that I have the guide for how this should be done. Okay, let's see how this works. See, it distorts the whole image, but peel it away. And then I can recut this to fit better. I'm stretching it out so it's flatter. I hope I do this right. There, I think it's gonna, let's see. I'm gonna kind of cop it together here so we can use this piece. There. Let's see how this works. I could have done it more smoothly. Again, it takes practice, I find, with anything you do different, newly. pretty good. Let's try a little bit more here. Do one more time here. Okay, so now I'm just doing it on here without cutting this out first. That didn't help me so much to do that. So I'm pressing it into the corners where it's the most tiny to be sure that it catches it, right? Okay. Now, look how good that looks. And now I'm just going to use my fingers to soften this harsh edge where this form kind of gets in the way of the beauty of it. There. Now I'm going to take this and I think this is going to be just perfect. Look at that. Now that is quite a cookie, isn't it? You just don't see cookies like that every day.